Hey guys, it has been a while. And I've been dying, because school. But you know what hasn't been dying? Dislyte. Dislyte has been freaking awesome lately. And so, to commemorate almost like an entire year, anniversary is just around the corner. Here is a timeline of all the Dislyte updates that have happened and like the significant stuff, just so that we can get a preview looking back of what has happened this year. So, the Dislyte timeline. The beginning. Around early May, that is when the first Dislyte global release happened, and this was the first patch after that. Okay, so this is the first set of espers that we got after the global launch that happened. And with these espers, we got Ollie as our event esper, and then we also got Meredith for free, and Laura and Nicole were just kind of there, Holo Battle was introduced. This is the first ever character event, so this one they introduced like stories and events like that, music, all these like different things to make events more hype. And then they added a probability up event to summoning espers. So Ollie was one of the first. They had a standoff buff so that you couldn't AP reduce standoff anymore. That way you couldn't have infinites. They still have that with invincibility, which they should really change. And then they added Holo Battle captain leads. So for example, your Una's 35% speed, your Pritzker 25% speed, those type of things. Following that, in patch 3.02 in June 21, it was just a basic patch. They added Ahmed and they added what's his name, Stuart, and they added the Divine Sequencer. So I'm just gonna show that here. This is not at all scuffed, but they added the Divine Sequencer shop. At the time though, you didn't still like automatically update it, so you have to sell your 3-star espers in order to get like the rare starting one. It was kind of a janky system, but they added the Divine Sequencer shop if you wanted to use it. There was no real advantage at the time though, and they added the introduction of they added the 450 pity. So this is when if you summoned 450 gold records, you would automatically get the banner esper at the time, Ahmed, and this carried on into the future. In patch 3.03, this is kind of when they added our Desolate Lands and the Relic Boost systems. So at that time, K10 was the hardest thing to farm basically, or F10 was the hardest farm, Fafnir 10. And you can only have Ritual Miracle up until the 10th level, and it was pretty easy. So in order to increase the difficulty and make the game longer, I guess, add more endgame content, they added the Desolate Lands, which was really difficult at the time, and Relic Boost so that you could, make your relic stronger. And yeah, at this point in the game, it was pretty hard not to get a K10 team very quickly. So Desolate Lands was something that started to basically increase the gap between the newer and the older players. And then they added Zora, which was really good for Shadowfire, so that was kind of like your first clickbaity level team. In patch 3.1 though, a lot of things changed. So this was in August. Holy cow, that was so long ago. They added Ophelia, and they added 2 new Shimmer espers, Jiangju Li and Alice, and all of these espers were really, really good. So it was really nice. They added Relic Reset, so you could reset your relics now. The VR Battlegrounds, which is really nice because, well, yeah, now you can test stuff without actually having to waste energy to test stuff. Quick Equip and Unequip, which is really nice. The R Pass, which I don't really know why they added. I guess it was just like to make more money off of the M Pass, I'm not gonna lie. Esper Feud, that was huge. Now, so they added the Esper Feud, which was basically this whole thing for relic customization. I'm gonna add some B-roll. But you could essentially get the exact relic that you want. And at the time, it was really early in this. It was like only like 3 months into the game, right? And so a lot of players did not have those perfect relics yet. And with this relic customization, it really jump-started progress. Because personally for me, I was able to get like a crit damage Thor set, which is a Thunder set now. A crit damage slot 2 Thor set at the time with like crit rate, crit damage, attack bonus, and speed. And that was absolutely game changing because I had a very strong DPS relic set. They also included a rewind event, but at the time, rewind event didn't rewind the abilities as well. It just rewound the levels. So you would get the waves back and the Starumon back, so you could like reprioritize it. 3 months in, and we were still very scarce for Starumon and Experimon at that time. So that was really, really nice. And then they also added the Astral Witchcraft change. This is pretty weird. Okay, so this was basically when, at the time, Astral Witchcraft wasn't the Astral Witchcraft we knew now. That's currently the Divine Blessing set. And basically what Astral Witchcraft was, it was a Chronos drop, and then Astral Witchcraft, it gave you an extra speed. It gave your team speed if anyone was stunned. So if you had Astral Witchcraft, if your one unit had Astral Witchcraft and then another unit got stunned, that unit was the one that got 50 speed so that they could wear off their stun really much quicker. But this is the change that basically swapped it all around and made Astral Witchcraft what we know today, which is the extra 25% chance for a turn. So that was like long ago. So after this patch, this is kind of when everyone kind of calls it the fall of Dislyte. This is sort of the patches that made the game's player base drop because it started to be a bit more cash grabby. It started to be a bit more power creepy. The game wasn't going to be as fun because there were so many things to have to do. So in patch 3.1.1, they added Gaius into the mix. And Gaius was one of the most broken Espers at the time. And he still is. Like, we have a term for him. He's the Gaius level Esper, right? He's one of the strongest, if not the strongest solo queue Esper in the game. And yeah, it just made it so that we needed to grab him. And along with that, they changed a lot of the game, basically. They made the end game a lot longer. Because before, Desolate Lands was only until SSS, and Ritual Miracles was only until level 10. So it was pretty easy to get until the end game. But because of this, they made the end game a lot further from the new players because they added Ritual Miracle 11 to 16. And so you had to, it was a lot harder and you needed to farm for much longer. They added Formation Assist, which was nice, and the Preparation Room, which is basically allowing you to have relics for the PvP system, which you should still use today, which was really, really nice. And another thing that they did, which a lot of people did not like, was that they included SSMs. Now, if you guys don't remember, these are the Super Sound Matrices, which is your alternate currency to summoning aside from gold records. And a lot of people didn't like this because, well, you were saving up your gold records and then suddenly they introduced SSMs and it was like, oh, now my gold records are useless because SSMs are what matter now and that's the only way to get banner records. So they didn't really communicate this all that well, and so what ended up happening was that for the Gaius event, they kept the usual 450 pity on gold records, but the SSMs that you get, there was no SSM pity, basically. And then there was like supposed to be this planned record conversion event, but it ended up not happening because, oh well, you're getting Gaius anyway, so it was all sorts of crazy. And to compensate, because SSMs were the key currency to summoning now and gold records didn't really matter as much, they lowered the pity from 120, it was 120 before, to 100 basically. And then, yeah, they made a lot of things more difficult, so Desolate Lands and EX++ was a lot harder to get. It was a lot harder to get those boost stones. They now made it so that rewinds included abilities, which was really nice because you kind of sometimes as a new player put your Abilimon into Espers that you didn't really like, you just didn't know any better, and now you have a way to get those back. And this was only like 3 months into the game still, so it was really nice that we were able to get those. And then this is something that actually scared me at the time. They nerfed Clara and Lucas, and they buffed the twins. And the thing about nerfing Clara and Lucas was I was really scared because it set a tone that basically, oh, they're Espers that are strong, we're gonna nerf them because everyone should buy the banner Esper, basically. So I was really scared when they first nerfed Clara and Lucas, but they did buff the twins. This wasn't the buff that made the twins super duper strong yet, but they still buffed the twins, which was really nice. Patch 3.1.2, this is just kind of like them trying to get it back. Ashley was a really, really nice unit, but she wasn't like Gaius level. They added Infinity Tower, which is another endgame content that we needed to do. They added Cube Relic Blind Boxes, which is okay, whatever. And then they added the Mystery Trader. So this is our first instance of the Mystery Trader and our only instance ever since. The Mystery Trader at that event gave us 1 resonance. 1 resonance on any Esper. Well, it was 1 resonance on legendary Espers, and then like I think there were some resonances for lower Espers, if I remember correctly. But it gave us a mystery, it gave us a resonance on any 1 Esper that we wanted, which is why until now for some reason, this is and everyone is asking, oh, what resonance should I use? Because kind of at the time, resonance didn't really matter. So I just went for putting a resonance on my only Shimmer Legendary Cecilia, because Shimmer Legendaries are obviously a lot rarer. I don't regret it till this day, but if I knew that, you know, resonance would be where it is, I'd probably put it into something like my Gaius or something like that. But anyway, and then they add the Reincarnation Tower. This is a really, really nice and fun PvE game mode that was actually pretty fun. And I wish that this was just like base kit into the game. But honestly, like, it's kind of, well, you just kind of get some rewards from it, but it's honestly a pretty fun game. And this is when they added the resonance tree. Now, if you guys don't remember, back then resonances didn't really matter because they only just gave like some plus speed boost. But they tried to change resonances so that there were different resonances for a different attack, defense, and HP like trees. And so you kind of had to build around what your unit was doing, and then like the amount of resonances, and then there was like different, like, oh, you get 6 resonant points if you're legendary and 5 resonant. It was like a whole different system. I'm gonna add B-roll just to show, but holy cow, that was like long ago. Now 3.1.3 is when they added some more endgame content. Basically, it's just more and more endgame content. And this is kind of why it's called like the fall of Dislyte, because they were just adding tons of endgame content and tons of things to do. And there weren't really anything getting better, basically. It was pretty hard to get better. So they put Abigail and Odette, which is really nice. You got Odette for free during the event. By the way, you got like lots of the different, like for example, you got Nick for free here. You got Meredith for free here. You got Aurelius for free here. So at the time, you kind of get like the 4-star Esprit for free every now and then. So in 3.1.3, they added Sentinel Hunt, which is like, you know, your Dark Starlord. Dark Star was a beast back then. Holy cow. They added the Echo Tribute. Okay, this gonna bring us back some memories. But basically, this Echo Tribute was the first Gold Wrecker event ever since, right? So back then, in these previous patches, you know, like before August or whatever like that, the only Gold Wrecker event basically was the pull for the Banner Esper. So this Echo Tribute was the first Gold Record event that we ever got that wasn't related to the Banner Esper. It was just, okay, use your Gold Records and then you will gain rebates, or you will gain stuff like that. Like, and this is specifically for the Echo Tribute. You kind of got rebates back then, but now it's just like, okay. And so what they did was, okay, you got your rewards back, and that was really nice. But as you will see in the future, oh god, in the patch after this, in 3.1.4, they added this Rookie Echo event, which is basically, oh, okay, all the gold records that you save, if you use them, you will gain a ton of rebates back. And then if you hit 700 pulls for the gold records, you will gain a free unowned Shimmer Legendary, which was so insane. But they kind of baited us at the time. And so they released this Echo Tribute event. And so all the veteran players were like, okay, let's summon, let's use our pulls. And then the month after that, they put this Rookie Echo event, which is like, okay, for the new players, this is gonna be a staple. Like, every new player goes through this Rookie Echo event, but because it was like a new event, they released it also to the veterans, right? But all the veterans, or all the old players, had just used their gold records because of the old Echo Tribute. So like, not a lot of people ended up using it. And obviously there were people who paid to get that unknown Shimmered Legendary. But it was kind of annoying that they did that, so it was kind of like a scummy move. It was really annoying that they did that, and I'm, man. Like, this is not a good time. This is not a good time. September to October was not a good time. But anyway, moving on, the Greywater Black Market was basically just another market where you could buy like SSMs and gold records and shimmer records and stuff like that for Nexus crystals. It was just like a nice conversion rate to buy whatever. And at the time it was like 10, it was just like 50 SSMs was like equal to 500 gold Nexus crystals or something like that. They also added the Club Wish cards. So because there was the resonance tree in the previous update, they finally made it so that we could start the Club Wish cards would allow us to actually get the specific resonance that we wanted for that specific non-shimmer Esper, which is what we have now. So if you order like you can order like basically Sally ripples or like, you know, Gaius ripples or whatever in the Club Wish cards, and your team would contribute, and then every day you'd get like one ripple. It's basically this, right? It's basically this, which we all know and love. and that was really nice. This was really nice. This was a very nice introduction. They also added the epic 20 pity. So this is basically because before there was no pity to getting an epic Esper, right? So you can go like 50 pulls and only getting 3 stars, which was kind of unlikely, but it was really bad to feel. So they added a pity for epic Espers, but this was only for the SSMs. It wasn't for the gold records, but when the SSMs phased out, they also included it into the gold records. They also added the Shimmer 100 pity, so Shimmer records also now have a pity, and then they added the Ripple off the box. Oh my god, this is so good. So this is something that everyone slept on for like the longest time. This was like it was just kind of slid into the patch notes, like a lot of people didn't notice. But basically, it was something that you could buy. It was something that you can buy in the club shop. It used to be here. It used to be here. And it was like, it was only like 800, I think, 800 club points. And you can buy 2 every week. And each ripple off the box gave you 5 ripples of any Esper that wasn't a Shimmer. So if you stack this up and you bought like 10 of these, which you could do in like 5 weeks, you could basically choose any Esper that you owned. You couldn't wish for unknown Espers, but this is really nice because you could get the resonances of any Esper that you wanted, like at any single time. And there are still some people to this day that still have the ripple off the box. I already used all of mine, so I wanted to keep it, but like I also wanted like my resonances, so yeah. And this is just one note thing. I'm not including lots of the buffs, but I'm including key units. And Jinyu Yao got a buff here, which is when she uses her S3, if she dispels something, it's AP down. And this is actually a pretty good buff, and it's one of the reasons why she's one of the better units in PvP. Not as much anymore, but like earlier on in the HP lead days. Anyway, she was really good. 3.1.4. So I hated this event. This is absolutely the worst event ever in my life. Okay, it's not the worst event. It's okay. They added Cube Miracle raiding, which is basically when you go into Cube Miracle and then you can raid it. That way you don't have to do the whole Cube Miracle. Cube Miracle is kind of obnoxious because like, yeah, it was nice. See, it's this raid thing. Yeah, it was nice, but it's like after a certain period, you kind of just get used to it and it's pretty easy, right? So they added this so that you could, so that veteran players could just like blast through Cube Miracle. Very easy. They added Brewster and Ife, which was like the first double probability up event. So it was the first double banner Esper event, right? They added warm up match, which is like RTA. That one was okay, but it was like kind of like a cash grab. A lot of people couldn't really compete, so it's kind of expected. And the rookie echo event, which everyone hated. Everyone absolutely hated. This was like horrible. I don't know why they did this and like just jebaited their players basically. They also increased the proc chance of Astral, so before it was 20% and then they made it 25%, so now it procs every 1 in 4 turns, which is really, really nice. And then they made Desolate Lands faster. So this was the time when, this was also pretty annoying, because they made it faster, because every time you hit the boss, and then you dealt a certain amount of damage, they would automatically skip to their next phase. But the thing that was annoying with this was it kind of messed up a lot of people's teams and speed tuning. So you basically had to make an entirely new Desolate Lands team. So up until this point, every single, like ever since the fall of Dislyte, every single update added new content that you had to do or revamped your whole team, right? So 3.1.1 added Ritual Miracle 11 to 16 and Desolate Lands EX++, so you had to like further do it for that. They added Infinity Tower, and that was just more things. Resonance Tree made it so that like the gap between an R0 and an R6 Esper was huge. 3.1.3 added Sentinel Hunt, which is honestly pretty fun, but it was like more things to do every week. And then, yeah, they baited us with the Echo Tribute. And in 3.1.4, they got the Rookie Echo event, which just made people spend more. And then we had to change our Desolate Lands team again. So, oh god, that's so annoying. 3.1.5 was just a very chill, patch. They didn't have a banner Esper, but they had a TA probability up like SSMs for some reason. I don't know why they picked TA, but yeah, sure, whatever. This is also the Divine Support. This was the first time that we started to like be able to vote for the Esper that we wanted next, and who won here was actually the Fatum Sisters and not Intisar. So yeah, and we see Intisar like later on. So yeah, this is also when they added like this battleground event. This is a notable event because it was like the auto chess, and then they could give you free Espers that you could play with in the battlegrounds. So that was really, really nice. And then they also nerfed Li Ling. So at this point in time, Li Ling was used in basically every single team comp because he was just so good. He had very powerful AoE damage, and AoE damage was really scarce at the time. Li Ling is also like your free Esper, and then he had AP reduction and like max HP scaling of the enemy team. So he was always really nice, right? So they nerfed him to the ground kind of, and he's not really useful anywhere anymore. And honestly, I'm kind of a bit lost because at some point, and I will just show you this, guys, but at some point I have this like list, right, of like and we're somewhere here right now. I honestly have no idea when Everett got put in the game, like when he became the Fusion Esper. I think it was around when EX++ Desolate Lands was a thing, like this Desolate Lands faster. But I'm not entirely sure because it's not anywhere in the patch notes. I did read somewhere that it was like post Brewster, but I'm not entirely sure. So anyway, at some point between October and November, at some point in those months, Everett was added. He wasn't that useful though because this was still very much a speed cleave meta in Point War, so he wasn't that useful yet. And then when we got to Christmas was not that good. They gave us like a bunch of free stuff, which they do with every Esper, with every event. By the way, there are like lots of these different like mini events that come up, like the Jack in the Box, the Joker King Queen set thing, the Esper dice. I just chose not to include all of those because they just gave you like free stamina or some Nexus crystals, but they weren't anything to talk about. So there were like mini events throughout, right? And so when Christmas came around, oh my gosh, my voice. When Christmas came around, the Phantom Sisters and Dalen were the Espers that were new, and they added this new championship event, which is like kind of one of the more pay-to-win events, which is basically, okay, the more relics you farm, the more points you get, and then like if you score within like the top 3, that's the only way in order to get more ripples of Dalen. So this is pretty rough for a lot of people, especially like, okay, not everyone could farm relics, not everyone could enhance relics because that costs a lot of money, and not everyone was going to win a lot in Point Wars. So your best bet of actually getting Dalen was relics, and this was pretty sad because it was like they gave us a free Esper, but then they didn't really because you needed to win in one of these championship events. Eventually, though, they just kind of gave us the Dalen anyway, so that was fine. And then the Christmas decoration where we could change what Gyrate looked like, and there were all these like different like ways like that the game looked different basically, and they gave us all these like different decorations, and it was so sad because like it only lasted until Christmas, and a lot of people were really sad that they just didn't give it to us for free, especially because they didn't really give us anything for Christmas at all. So that was really rough. But going into the new year, or going towards the end of Christmas, we finally got our redemption, right? So up until this point, objectively speaking, Dislyte had been losing a lot of viewers, Dislyte have been losing a lot of games, a lot of players, and like a lot of the patches have been lackluster, right? So you can see it, like there was not a lot of things that were going on. For 2 months, there was basically dryness, right? So when the redemption hit, it was really important that they really set it home and they fixed a lot of the problems, right? The SSMs weren't that good. Gold records just felt like it wasn't useful at all. They kept on adding too many endgame content, and they weren't making the content more playable and more fun. So a lot of older players just had more stuff to do, and a lot of newer players just kind of felt like they were getting left in the dust. Because if you were a casual player and you weren't grinding like 24/7, you were getting left in the dust basically, and there was not a lot that you can do about it because it was really bad. There were like some small saving graces here and now, like for example the Ripple Octobox, that was really nice. But yeah, we needed something more. And so going into 3.1.7, this is basically the patch that started the redemption of Dislyte, which is where we are now. Like in April. The redemption is going really well. So this is where it started, just shy after the new year, just before New Year, I mean. So they added 3.1.7, and basically they started to make things a lot better. So they added Yunchuan, and Yunchuan's one of the best Espers, honestly, in my opinion. I know that they added like the Wish Pool and SSMs, and then they revamped Ritual Miracle. There's so many things here. So Calamity Island, they started adding like these towers that were for the different types. So there's Flow, Wind, and Inferno. And the Calamity Island is really nice. It's a way to build your team, and it's just like another thing to do. Blitz, great quality of life change. Like, we can start doing farming without dedicating like hours of our lives just to farming every single day, which is nice. They also removed SSMs completely in favor of the wish pool system. So SSMs got removed completely, and they got converted into Nexus crystals at a pretty fair rate. And then they introduced the wish pool system, which allowed us to wish for the banner Esper using the wish tokens, basically. Story also got changed. So previously to that, the only story rewards that you got were if you cleared the whole 18 at 3 stars. But now, for each 3-star that you got, it actually gave you more rewards. And so there was a lot of rewards that were given throughout the story. And this was really, really nice because the rewards got reset even for the veteran players. So even veteran players got like basically like 30, 50 gold records just from that. They also introduced the Sonic Rift, so instead of the practice stages where you would farm, you would now farm your Experimon from the Sonic Rift, and Espers would no longer gain experience that much from the actual stages. And this was an okay idea. This was an okay idea in of itself, but the execution was really, really poor because they removed like the double XP boost. The Sonic Rift wasn't that great at all. We made so many videos about this, about how Sonic Rift was really, really bad. It was a good idea in concept, that way you could just get your Experimon from one single place, stash them up, and then if you got a new Esper, you could just use them right away. But the execution was really, really bad, and so a lot of people just really, really hated this. But personally, I saw that this was a good idea, and eventually they did fix this, so this was okay. Ritual Miracle diversification. So this is when you started seeing that, oh, in Chronos, you wanted to use primarily Flow Espers, and the Ritual Miracles got changed and all that stuff and all that jazz. It was a really, really long time ago, and a lot of things were changed. Apep was unbearably hard to do, and Fafnir was actually the easiest of the bosses now to do. And Chronos was actually pretty difficult, but we managed. And yeah, they just kind of made it so that like you couldn't just beat down the boss with like strong Espers and just you had to use the proper Espers of the proper typing. This was a not good change at the time, but I thought it was really, really nice, but I wish they executed it better. Also, Ritual Miracles at the level 16 always drop 6-star relics. So before that, you would actually prefer to farm at level 15 because level 15 gave you more relics, and it had a better drop rate for 6-star relics, which is really, really weird. So since you would gain 5-star relics as well, you would actually be able to sell that off for more gold. And because in level 16 it wasn't always guaranteed that you were gonna get a 6-star relic, you wanted the quantity over the quality. So yeah, they also added turn limits, and they added the HP buff in PvP. That way, like, there's just like an HP pool that's just always there. And this kind of just completely destroyed and squashed the speed cleave meta at the time. So at the time, speed cleave was the king, and if you didn't have a fast speed team, you would just instantly lose. But now they made it so that it was a tank team meta, and speed cleaves are basically crushed. And 3.1.70 isn't even done yet. So we increased the max squad level from 60 to 100, which just made our base stamina a lot higher, which is great because now you didn't really need to use you didn't need to play twice a day, like one in the morning and one at night, just so that you wouldn't waste any stamina because it would like hit the cap. Now you could wait like a whole 48 hours or something before it's full, so that's good. And then the resonant adjustment. So they gave every Esper their own unique resonances and opted away from the resonance tree, which is how we are now actually. So when you look at this, like every Esper has their own unique resonances that give them unique abilities and unique effects and changes towards their kit for them, which is really, really nice. And there was like it was a giant meta shakeup, right? So they also added the Divine Sequencer shop, and they made it so that you can no longer keep your old Espers, right? So previously, right now, if you summon for an Esper, and I'm just gonna summon like a random one because right now I'm not. If you summon for an Esper and you got your extras, like for example these, right? You would be able to keep the old 3-star Espers and you could level up. So you could technically have 2 level 60 Drews and just build them completely differently, right? Because in the old resonance tree, you might want like a specific resonance tree for this type of content and a specific resonance tree for this type of content. So some people who are crazy had built like 2 Drews or 2 Freddys or whatever, and you can no longer do that. Any extra Esper that you have now automatically gets converted into these Dioprisms, and it just forces you to use the Dioprisms. And the nice thing about this like Divine Sequencer change was they added units into the Divine Sequencer shop, which is when we started being able to buy like Dahlia and like Asanath and all these other units in the Divine Sequencer shop, which is really, really nice, honestly. But one thing is that like they kind of went backwards with this one. They removed the ripple off the box. So because they made getting a resonance unit a lot easier because you can just wish for them with the wish pool, they removed the ripple off the box, which stopped players from being able to buy that 5 ripples every week, basically, or 10 ripples because you can buy 2. And this is really, really annoying because the ripple off the box is one of like the nicest things that we had as a player, especially during the fall of this like the drought. But they removed that from us and they took it away from us, and then we were left to deal with all these like other changes, like Ritual Miracle getting harder and Sonic Rift taking away. So it kind of just felt like, yeah, they were changing it so that the pulls were a lot easier, but they made the grind so much worse because Ritual Miracles were so much harder. You had to build multiple teams for it and a lot more diverse units, so you had to level up more units. But then they made Sonic Rift harder, which made it harder for us to actually get those units because we were running out of experiment to level up the units. So it was like kind of like just, why did they do this? You know, it was pretty rough. Also, my light ran out. I'm sorry, it's whatever. And then, okay, moving on. They also made it easier for new players. So this is about the time when they added the white twin and the black twin into the game, and then they made it in part of the earlier +5. They also changed it so that Sally would be the temporal tower event, and then like they gave us more ripples of stuff like that, and then changed the whole ripple so that it would be Meredith and stuff like that. They made a lot of changes, but a lot of these were basically better for new players because you got a lot of free espers in the beginning that would help jumpstart your progress basically. And another thing is the meta shakeup, right? So they changed a lot of things, like a ton of things, right? So they gave you the white twin and the black twin early on in the game, which is really nice for the path to mastery. The Divine Sequencer shop was really, really nice. So instead of having to open tons of ripples, you can get Dahlia pretty early, like maybe like a month in, basically. And then they just changed a lot of things. Oh yeah, this is also around the time when they changed the Echo and the Divine Sequencer shop and the Esper Fusion, right? So they removed Gabriel and Fabrice, and then they added Lucas and Alexa. There were just like a lot of things. There were just like a ton of things. Holy cow! And then here at the bottom right, just tons and tons and tons of like Esper balancing changes. So they made a lot of Esper stronger and made a lot of Espers weaker. So Cecilia could now revive. Sienna's buffs lasted longer. Gabrielle did more damage on her S2. Sally was a lot more consistent. Lewis had invincibility and didn't do the seer thing anymore. Anisadora got nerfed so that she wouldn't be the best controller in the game. Xiaoyan got buffed because he got changed in the current version right now that wasn't so dependent on debuffs and is now dependent on more on like his stealth. Meredith got a huge buff with her S3, and Hyde got stat changes. These are just a few of the many changes that got listed. But overall, patch 3.1.7 just it did a lot of things right, and then it did a lot of things wrong, right? So yeah, just a lot of things. The wish pool was nice. 16 was always giving Sister Rails was nice. The change in PvP was kind of nice. Story rewards was nice, but yeah, they missed out with the Ritual Miracles and then not giving us the experiment to be able to change for these Ritual Miracles. Whew. Patch 3.1.8. At this point, we are still reeling in from the patch 3.1.7. We hated the Ritual Miracle diversification and Sonic Rifts. We hate where it is now. And then in this patch, they made Sonic Miracle also harder. Like, not harder, it's still not that difficult, but they added more levels to Sonic Miracle, which is just like, why would you do this? They added Epic Abilimon Fragments though, which is like kind of okay because you can buy them in the shop, and now you could sort of like eventually buy an epic ability mod with gold, which is pretty nice. And then they also added Point War weekly winner rewards. So these are the weekly rewards that you get for participating in Point War, which was really nice. I lost here, but these were really nice because they just gave us more supply coins in the end, right? So patch 3.1.9. This is kind of when they started fixing a lot of things, right? Oh, sorry. Patch 3.1.9. So they added Sanity. They gave us what's his name? Daniel. They gave us Daniel in the championship event, similar to Daylon before. But this was a lot better because you can actually get one copy of Daniel pretty easily. And then the multiple resonances, even if you couldn't get them, you could buy them. So that was really nice. They added the divine support for Embla and Ethan. This was around Valentine's Day, and Valentine's Day was pretty nice. They gave us this really nice collectible, which I still have. These chocolates that give 100 stamina. I'm keeping these, and they are a nice collectible that we get to keep and just have that, like, oh yeah, it's a legacy thing. They also added the wish pool for unowned espers. So previously the wish pool at that time, it would only allow you to get like the banner esper basically and the resonances. But they finally added the wish pool for the unowned espers that we don't have, which is this, and you can change it to all these espers within a pool that basically you didn't own, right? So this is really nice because, well, now you could get your Gaius or get your Clara that if you didn't have one at the time. And yeah, those meta espers that just people couldn't get because if they were unlucky, now you could get them if you were a seasoned player, which was nice. They also made bounties a lot more optimized, which is now the timer system that we have now. And the bounties are a lot better because, you know, they give you the experiment and especially the stamina one. The stamina one is really nice. They also made ritual miracles a lot easier. This is the patch that rectified what happened in 3.1.7, which is now it's just like net positives all around, right? So they made ritual miracles a lot easier, and so they were a lot easier to farm. So the diversification was unique, and now they were a lot easier. They also made Sonic Rift actually more efficient. And someone calculated that, yeah, this was about as or more efficient than what we had in the practice stages before, and then gold acquisition was a lot better. So they just fixed all the problems that they created basically with 3.1.7, and 3.1.7 ended up was just being like a good patch all around. So now 3.2 February, we're in February now. This is a long video. Holy cow, my voice. But they gave us Embla and Parmy, and one of the nicest things about this was they gave us R6 Parmy. And so previously up until this point, they have given us a ton of R4 espers, but now they gave us Parmy, and Parmy was a really nice unit, and they gave us to her at R6. So a completely built R6 unit. It wasn't the best because some people just like if they didn't log in every day or if they didn't do the missions every day, it was hard for them to get Parmy. But if you just were diligent, you could easily get R6 Parmy. They also include Divine Synthesis Pod, which is really nice for new players because you don't have to level up every single esper that you get. You can automatically get that level up, basically pseudo level up for all the espers that you don't own, which is really good for the Divine Synthesis Pod. My voice is dying, but I'm gonna push through it. The shortcut menu was okay. The Ultimate Spiral was really nice. It was just more stuff that we could do, and we could compete now with other people, which was really nice. And the relic art changes, which was kind of hit or miss. Eventually they did rectify this, but this was when they kind of changed everything into these yeah, the sword, the vest, and everything. A lot of people didn't understand why they went with this route, but it's okay. It's what it is. It is what it is. Now, going into 3.2.1, this is now when Japan and Korea are now included into Dislyte. So they added the knockout, which is basically the two-turn art, the two-turn point war, the two-team point war that we can control, which is really nice. They gave us more supply coins, which is nice. They also added quick battle to point war, and that was awesome because it had been a tank meta, and we were just like, you had to spend 30 minutes a day on point war if you wanted to win or if you wanted to stay at like a relatively high level, which I didn't. But with this, I can now kind of climb and I don't have to waste so much of my day. And then they also gave us the novice support, which is again very good for new players, but for the veteran players, I still have it because I haven't used it yet because like I'm kind of waiting on like what's the best choice. But it's like a really long event, and for new players, you can easily get like your favorite Esper. A lot of people recommend Jiangman. And so as a new player, you got Jiangman, you got the twins, you got your Wukong or your Li Ling. You were just kind of set. You were just good. You were just fine. You had like the entire kit that you needed. And they also changed Sentinel Hunt to be more diverse. They added Sonica and Phobiter, and they changed the entire Sentinel Hunt. And that's because they wanted to move away from Holo Battle, because Holo Battle was the main way that you got your club points. And so the strong were getting stronger and they were getting richer because obviously they were good. And if you wanted Holo Battle, you got a lot of coins at the end. And now with the Sentinel Hunt, it's just more of you're competing against yourself. You're not competing against other people. And so there's just more of a strive to improve on your own teams rather than trying to beat like the best clubs in the game, right? So and it just kind of evens the playing level of the club points that people receive. And then they also added the daily bonus for the ritual miracles, which is this every day you kind of get like double the rewards for the first 3 of each ritual miracle that you try, right? Which is really nice. And now here we are in the present. Holy cow, 3.2.2, April 11th. Currently it is April 20, and they have added the Leora event. They have given us Elaine for free. They are going to give us holy cow, what's her name? What's her name? Hadi? They're gonna give us Hadi for free at R6. They had this whole event with Hadi's Twitter, her being like this VTuber from the real world. The Shimmer chance up is really nice, which allows us to basically pick a Shimmer now that we have this. And I like this a lot. I'm going to wait for like Unas or something, or Nusi, because now you could choose who you want to like increase the odds. Right now it's just base at Raven, but hopefully in the future they will change that. They also added Markiplier into the game, which is really cool. Just like this really cool tease, like you know, just this really cool tease collab event with Markiplier here in the game. They also added the Ritual Miracle Conqueror, which is basically, it allows you to do ritual miracles every single day, and then you will get these Conqueror Ripples, which are just units that are really good for ritual miracle. And again, this is something really good for new players, because you will get up to 3 copies. So one up to R2 if you're a new player, R2 of Ira, R2 of Xiao Yin. Even after just 10 days you'll get copies of them, which is really nice. And Joser and Stewart and Lui and Li Guang. And then at the end of the 30 days you will get these main waves, which you can use to fuse for those Espers here. So you will get a free Fatum Sisters and Jinyu Yao after a month of farming, which is really nice. And then they gave us Uday, which everyone is stoked about, because she is basically like the poor man's version of Feng Nusi, and Feng Nusi is really good. So they gave us Uday for free at R6 again, and she's a lot more accessible compared to Parmy, because Parmy was like a bit restricted. But Uday, you can get Uday with a lot. If you just play the game, you'll be able to get Uday a lot of her, right, at the end of the day. And then they added Blitz to Desolate Lands. Now we can Blitz Desolate Lands and we don't have to sit there for like 3 minutes for Desolate Lands. And you can use your best teams on Chronos and then clear him in like 1 minute and sub 1 minute runs. And then you can use the Blitz ticket that you get from Desolate Lands, which is just a lot of time saved, right? So that is it. Holy cow. That was a lot. Oh my god. Woo! But yeah, that's kind of where we are at now with Dislyte. Dislyte's really freaking awesome, I have to admit. There's just a lot of nice things. Dislyte's great. And I know, oh god, I know. I know I've been gone for like a while, right? But I've been having a lot of fun with Dislyte, and I just want to say thank you guys. And yeah, ASMR. But anyway, I am very excited for the anniversary event. We're probably gonna get patch notes in like a week from now. If there's gonna be an anniversary event at all, okay. If not, they just gave us Uday for free, which is like a poor man's Snoozy. I'm already okay with that. So yeah, honestly, reflecting over the past year, this site has been pretty fun. It's been a really great game, and yeah, there was a fall, and then there was like a redemption arc. But I'm glad that the community has stayed the way it is, and we're learning together, right? Like the developers, the players, we're all learning. And so when anniversary comes around, I implore you guys to just keep your expectations low and just chillax. Up until now, we have been very blessed and very lucky. They've given us R6 Parmy, they've given us R6 Uday, they've given us free 5 stars, they've given us tons of free 5 stars thanks to the fusions and whatnot. And the game is in a good place right now because there's just lots of fun things to do and lots of like fun combos to try out. And yeah, it's pretty good. And they're making pulls like a lot better overall, like with the pities, with like the wish pools, resonances, you get to pick your Esper that you want. Shimmer records are a lot better, all that, and you can scratch your itches with the elemental records. I had like 42, 32 here, and every time I just want to roll, I'll roll, and it's nice. It's just fun. It's just vibes. So, with that said, and that's pretty much it. So I hope that you guys have a wonderful day. I don't know what got over me, but I've been recording this for almost like 40 minutes now. Anyway, I will see you guys in the next one. It's glad to be back. It's great to be back, guys. Anyway, I'll see you guys in the next one, and I hope you enjoyed your day. Get out of here. So yeah, if you guys didn't know, and if you guys care at all, just like a little podcast at the end. I've been so busy with school, and like for the past month, it's just been tons of projects and final exams. But today I finished, and I was such in a rush because I've been thinking of making this like Dislyte look back video for like the longest time, and I was really happy to make this video. I look tired because I am tired because like I've just been working on it for like 3 hours straight, but it's really glad to be back. And thank you so much for, if you guys are watching until the end, thank you so much for watching this video, because it's been a long time, and I know YouTube absolutely hates it when people don't upload like every so often. It's been like 2 weeks or 3 weeks since I've uploaded. So yeah, I just want to say I appreciate you a lot, and yeah, I'm gonna do this 10 spin for you. Epic Esper. You guys are just kind of lucky. Not like lucky. You're just kind of lucky. So yeah, I will see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.